Welcome to the show. Once again, we have a fabulous lineup of guests to energise and inspire you.
It's time to wake up your wow with your host, international award-winning speaker, Cath Vincent.
On this week's show, change the world by working on your relationship. We hear from relationship rescue counsellor Janine Rechert. Are you tired of typing? Voice recognition expert Derek Austin shows us how dictation can improve your productivity threefold. Dramatic improvement specialist Gary Bartlett explains how to come up with new solutions to solve any problem.
Hear the whistle blowing.
And in the music slot from Wilde Records with Jesse Wilde, we hear original music from international singer-songwriter Jackie Bristow. All this and more to wake up your wow.
Janine, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Cath.
So you're the first guest on season 3. We thought we would jump straight in and tackle the difficult stuff, relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, tell me, why did you become a counsellor?
Why I became a relationships counsellor was, I started off counselling 23 years ago, and I started off as a high school counsellor. So I worked a lot with kids and their families. And what I realised way back then was that if you want to save the world, save relationships.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to save the world, save relationships. That's profound.
Yep.
I really probably need to do some work on this. I mean, I can think of a lot of people who, you know, go through highs and lows in their relationship and probably need to do a bit of relationship rescue. Why is it so difficult?
Well, it's difficult because there's a lot of unconscious things being brought into the relationship.
So things that we don't know about, we bring to the relationship and we don't realise.
What we don't know, we don't know.
Right.
And so it comes out in the relationship in all sorts of different ways. So we may find that we're talking or we're arguing over...
Who puts the rubbish out?
Who puts the rubbish out, or leaving the toilet seat up, or whatever.
Yes, actually. Yeah.
It's never about the toilet seat, and it's never about the rubbish.
No.
It's about something else. So for instance, with the rubbish.
Yeah.
So the rubbish, classic, work, the split of the workload around the house is one of the main things couples argue about.
Yeah.
It's not about who does what around the house. It's really about the stuff that's underneath it, which is how much do you care about me and how much do you see me?
Right.
So if you see me being stressed and overloaded with work and, you know, and you're not helping with something as simple as just taking the rubbish out, then it feels like, you know, we're not in relationship.
Right.
You know, you don't care about me.
So we make something, a small thing, a trivial thing, we make it mean more because we're under stress.
Because we're under stress, but we're also making it mean more because it's about wanting to feel seen and heard and cared about.
Yeah.
And if we don't feel seen, heard and cared about, we feel disconnected from our partner. And we build up frustration, and frustration builds more disconnect.
Right.
And what we end up doing is getting very stuck in our world. Yeah. And we only see issues from our perspective.
Yes.
And we don't see our partner's issues, who may equally be under as much stress and may equally need us to see them and see that they need some help or support.
And the thing is, it's not like that in the beginning. So, it subtly creeps in over time. I imagine. In other people's relationships, I mean.
Yes. Well, the reason it's not like that in the beginning is because our brains have a wonderful mechanism, and it's to override the way our brains develop. So our brains developed when we were out living on the savannah over millions of years. And the brain developed to see the negative in the environment, which is brilliant survival.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we want to see if something dangerous is coming, blah, blah, blah. Now, if we get into a relationship and we just see the negative in our partner, we're going to be in trouble pretty quick. So what happened was the brain evolved a mechanism to override that so that we would get into relationship. And it starts to produce a chemical reaction. When we get attracted to somebody and we feel that connection, it starts to produce a chemical reaction that the research shows is exactly the same as if we'd just been doing some lines of coke.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So the whole romance thing is highly addictive.
We literally get high. Our brains literally get high.
Yeah.
And so when we're, when we're high,
I remember.
you just look absolutely amazing, and you're just, everything about you is amazing.
The rose-tinted
spectacles. And it keeps us, just in partnership long enough to get really connected.
Right.
To walk down the aisle. Oh. And then it might wear off. Like all highs. You come down. And when that wears off, and this is part of the relationship cycle, but when that wears off, what starts to happen is we start to see those irritating things about each other.
Right.
And those irritating things usually come from, like say, the unconscious stuff. And that starts the conflict.
Right. So you talked about the relationship cycle. So it starts with a fantastic high. That wears off. Then what happens?
So the high gets us in attachment.
So we're attached to the other person.
Yep, and then it starts to wear off. And what happens then is that we start getting into conflict, and we start triggering that survival brain.
Right.
The survival brain only knows 3 things: fight, flight, freeze.
Right.
And it is the stupidest part of the brain. Because what it does, it sits in the mid part of the brain. So you imagine the brain has developed 3 levels. The first level is where all the automatic stuff happens, the heartbeat and things. The next level is where survival brain sits. And it also sits right next to where all those old emotional memories sit. The unconscious stuff we were talking about before. The things that you bring into a relationship and that trigger you, that irritate you about the partner. But when survival brain starts, it shuts down the thinking part of the brain. And you'll have experienced it. If you studied for an exam when you were at school and you went into the exam room and you just went completely blank,
yes,
that's because survival brain shuts down your thinking brain.
Right. So literally when you're having a fight, when you're in that kind of very stressed environment in a relationship, you literally can't think straight.
You can't think straight, no. And you've got 2 of the stupidest parts of the brain butting heads.
Wow.
Yep.
So in a nutshell, what's your advice if you're in that situation and you can't think straight and, maybe you're fighting, that kind of thing? What would you do?
The first thing you need to be to get skilled at is to become really aware of yourself.
Right.
What is the first thing that you feel in your body when you start to get heightened?
Yeah.
Yep. And when you can start to recognize that, then you can start to calm yourself down, because that's the key to disengaging the survival brain, is calming yourself down.
Right.
The other skill you need to get really good at in relationship is learning how to step out of your world and get into your partner's world.
Right. So
and
empathy.
understand it's empathy. Yeah. And that's why I say relationships are what will save the world. Having a healthy relationship, because if you are modeling a healthy relationship to your kids and you're doing it, you're developing empathy skills, and we need much more empathy in the world.
Yeah. Totally. I totally agree with you.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Next up, voice recognition expert Derek Austin might just inspire you to write a book by dictating it.
Derek, welcome. Thanks for flying in from Sydney to be here.
Thanks for having me, Kath. It's a pleasure to be here.
And listen, Dragon software is 20 years old.
Dragon speech recognition software, even as we speak as we're recording on the east coast of the US, it's still having its 20th birthday party.
Wow, we should have cake today. We've got tea. We should have tea and
We
cake.
should have green dragon cake, I think, yeah. So Dragon came into being, it was the world's first continuous speech recognition software. Before that, there was speech recognition software. There was even a Dragon product called Dragon Dictate, where you had to speak like this, which got boring very quickly. But in 1997, Dragon Speech Recognition was launched, and that was the world's first affordable continuous speech recognition where it would understand normal speech.
Wow, that's
Where were you 20 years ago,
Oh,
Kath?
gosh. Well, hey, I was just a child, really.
A wee thing, yeah. So I wanted to maybe start and just take a shot of where we are with speech recognition, because this is another piece of technology. Do you recognise this?
Oh, God. I actually don't. I really don't. I don't think I was an early adopter. So, yeah.
Okay.
So
this is a Newton Message Pad 2000, which was the first an Apple device designed to run with handwriting. And 20 years ago, that's what I was doing. I was working with this device. Apple had a little centre for mobile information systems in Australia, and that's what I was doing 20 years ago.
So you would have been an early adopter?
I was an early adopter. But I mean, the point I want to make about this is that this is what a smart tablet was 20 years ago, and it was a fairly large
It's like a
device.
brick.
It was a bit like a brick, and it got a bad rep because the first version of the Newton didn't do handwriting recognition very good, but by this time it was really good. And because it's hardware, it went away, and then it came back later in the forms of, iPhones and iPads and the Samsung devices that we've got around and all those sorts of things. So over that 20 years, it's gone from being a brick to being a really useful device that's ubiquitous, that everybody has. And speech recognition, so that was 20 years old last week. This week, it's Dragon's turn, and Dragon speech recognition now, 20 years on, is kind of becoming an adult now. It's ready for prime time.
Wow.
It's ready to be used by everybody.
Okay, so the Newton was 20 years ago, and I mean, typically voice recognition software was really bad all that time ago, and has it really improved much?
Amazingly so. So compare that message pad with the modern iPad, for example. Much lighter, much faster, connects to the world. It's a similar sort of thing with speech recognition.
Right.
Things are much better now. And the latest Dragon technology just works out of the box. It used to take, those of you that tried it many years ago, it used to take days, weeks, months to train.
Yeah.
And now it's instant. You just go in, you check the microphone, you have your profile, you're ready to go.
Right, so you really could improve your productivity that way.
Absolutely. So as we all know, you can speak at least 3 times faster than you can type.
Yeah, no,
So
I can.
I know many people can. And even if you only use Dragon to do a draft of your document, you're still at least twice as fast as typing.
So typically, who would be using Dragon voice dictation?
So it's a niche now because everybody has smartphones, and for most people, what you've got on your smartphone is all you need. But for people who do a lot of documentation for a living, Dragon lets you do documents much faster, and documents in the very broad sense. So that mostly means things online these days, or we're not writing those 30-page reports these days. We're doing emails, we're doing blog entries, we're doing that sort of thing. So.
Right, okay. So what sort of sectors are using it?
So the traditional sectors have always been people like doctors and lawyers, who many of whom actually, the older people, learned how to dictate in university. It was part of the basic skills package. Yeah. But nowadays it's very broad. So again, we've got these people that are working with technology, putting content online, and Dragon is ideal for them.
Yeah, and you mentioned training it. So it works out of the box, but then why would you need to train it?
So unlike other speech recognition software, the sort of things you give commands to, to tell it to turn the lights on or whatever, Dragon actually knows what you sound like, and it learns about what you write about. Oh. So it also learns as it goes along. So if it does make mistakes, you can train it and it will get better. Now all of this has always been true, but now it's so much better, so much faster, and so much easier to use.
That sounds fantastic. I mean, you could literally dictate, you could documents, shopping lists.
It's like documents, emails, blogs, books, that sort of thing.
Right,
yeah.
Cool. I mean, so you could actually write an entire book just by speaking it?
Many people do, yes. So a lot of people, particularly those without any assistance, which is most of us these days, just write their own books using Dragon. Wow. So you're going to write a book, right?
Well, yeah.
I think you should.
You've kind of put me on the spot.
And how long did you give yourself?
Well, I might have gotten a bit carried away by my excitement. I did commit to write a book, and I also said that I would write a book in 30 days because we had Richard Webster on the show last season, and he writes a book every 30 days. So.
So this is just the first book?
Yeah. Okay, one book. I'm going to write one book. And.
All right, well, to make it interesting, I'll bet you a bottle of red wine that you can't write a book in 30 days.
Red wine? No. Champagne.
Champagne? Certainly.
Yeah. Moet.
You're on.
I'm upscaling all the time.
French champagne, the real champagne. There's no other champagne, right?
Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. It's been really exciting, and I'm particularly excited about how Dragon can help my
pleasure, Kath, and I look forward to seeing the book.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is me dictating using Dragon software. Full stop. I can't believe I've committed to write a book in 30 days! Exclamation mark. This is brilliant. This is going to be easy. I must talk 2,000 words before breakfast. Next up, problem solver Gary Bartlett explains how to come up with solutions you never imagined.
Gary, welcome. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Kath.
So listen, your topic is dramatic improvement. I love the sound of that.
Yeah, well, dramatic improvement is about getting dramatically better results in a shorter period of time with less effort and cost and money.
Brilliant. I'm sold. I'll have that, please. So tell me a bit about how you work through that.
Well, the basic idea is that I found, a number of years ago, I found a different way of thinking about things that enables you to get very different sort of results. I got quite excited about it and have spent the last 10 or 15 years smoothing out the method, coming up with a library of solutions that anyone can apply to just about anything to get significantly better results immediately.
Okay, so the thinking is based on the fact that actually we all think in a certain way and therefore we get a predictable set of solutions when in fact there could be lots of others.
Absolutely, and the solutions that we do get
Yeah.
run their course, and we're then stuck with nowhere else to go and don't really know what else to do about things.
Yeah.
So the whole idea with this is that there are a number of standard ways in which you can get significantly better results that aren't that conventional but work everywhere.
Right, okay. Now, I know this is like nearly 20 years of research and a big, complex topic, but are you able to break it down for us just a little bit?
You know, first of all, the basic idea is that every single situation can be improved dramatically by anyone.
Right,
We think that things can't be improved because we're stuck in our existing thinking.
right.
It's not that there aren't opportunities to improve, it's just that we can't see them.
Okay, so it's outside of the scope of how our brain currently works?
Absolutely.
Okay, so how do you access new information that normally is invisible to you?
Yeah, that's the big question. And the big
Thank
trick
you.
is,
I got there.
and the big trick is to realize that there's only a small set of patterns for dramatic improvement.
Right.
We're used to applying them in other areas, but we don't realize that they apply in this area
Okay.
area where we're at the end of our abilities.
So give me an explanation of what you mean by a pattern.
So, for example, there's simple things that we know how to do in relationships, for example, like we heard from Janine earlier today, that we apply when things are going well, but when things are going badly, as she said, we forget to apply those particular things.
Right.
And so we look at the situation and it's very challenging and we don't know what to do and we blame the other person, when the reality is that there's simple things that we can do that we just haven't thought to apply in the situation.
Right, okay. So, and your dramatic improvement methodology can be applied to relationships, to businesses, to
just about anything. We haven't found anything that we haven't been able to apply it to,
Right.
but get very excited as soon as we find something that looks as if it can't apply to, so that we then work to try and improve the framework to say, so how can we address this issue?
Basically, you like to see a problem and say, this is not going to beat me.
Yeah, well, I have this cold feeling in the pit of my stomach if I've dealt with a client and promised them the earth of how we're going to get these gains and walk away thinking, these guys are so onto it, how can we possibly improve this? But then you go through the process and very quickly you come up with stuff that they look at and say, but that's so obvious, why didn't we see it before?
Right.
And the answer is, well, you and all of us.
Yeah. So give me an example of a typical, say, a commercial or corporate problem that you might, bring a different approach to.
So, for example, there are a whole lot of things. Process improvements, improving projects, improving sales, improving production, improving engagement in the organization, helping people with their confidence, helping people get more done in a week. It's the sort of stuff that we all do, but this is just a sort of different spin on it that gives you significant gains in a short period of time.
Right. Now, can that also be applied to individual problems?
Totally. So whether it's your mother-in-law or your career.
My
or
mother-in-law's lovely, I'm just going to say. Roast lamb dinner tonight.
Yeah, so it can be applied to absolutely everything because it's just a simple way of thinking. And there's 6 standard pattern categories
Right.
that you can use to say, well, could it be this one? Could it be that one?
Right.
You can cut this any way you like, but these 6 are most helpful for people. So the first one is flow. Is there a way that we can get things to flow better, flow faster, have more flow through?
Okay, so removing bottlenecks, that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Effectively. So the big thing is find where the bottleneck is and get more through the bottleneck. Now, we all love that idea, but most of us don't even know where the bottleneck is in the situation that we're looking at. So that's a good place to start. Where's the bottleneck? And then how do I get more through it?
Right. So that's flow. What's the next one?
The next one's ingenuity, thinking outside the box.
Okay, so coming up with great ideas.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
The next is change. Great coming up with a good idea, but how do you implement it and bring it about?
And people don't like change. Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's worthwhile. What's the next one?
So the next one is mastery.
Yeah.
How do you get significantly better at something very, very quickly?
Yes, without having to do the mythical 10,000 hours.
Yeah, totally. This is hours and days of getting virtual capability and then improving over time.
Yeah. And the next?
The next one's synergy and collaboration. How do we work together with people? We're really bad at that, and there's simple ways that you can do to work together better with people, whether it's relationships or projects, anything like.
And we heard from Janine, you can change the world with changing your relationships.
Totally, totally agree with that. And the final one is motivation. How do we key into the things that we really want to do? And most of us don't even know the sorts of things that we really want to do and that excite us.
Yes, and as you know, I am passionate about motivating people. So dying to hear more of that in the future.
Great.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Cath.
Next up, the Wilde Records music slot with Jessie Wilde.
Jessie Wilde, welcome back. It's been too long.
It has, but great to see you again.
And you. So tell me, what have you been up to?
Been a bit busy actually lately.
Something to do with the surroundings, perhaps?
Yeah, I've been building a new studio.
Like you have literally been building it with your dad and some builders
With my
as well.
dad and a lot of help from my wife, and we've had a few other builders and a few subcontractors.
Yeah, but you've been on the tools.
I have. I've literally had a builder's apron on, banging nails in.
You've got to be pretty happy with this studio, though. It sounds amazing.
Mate, I'm really, really happy with the studio.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a recording studio and a TV studio and
an event
home.
space. 50 people, theatre style, can attend events here.
And we live upstairs. We've got 230 square metres upstairs.
Yeah, awesome. Well, have you had any time to find anyone for the show? I mean, you've been busy, obviously.
But the quality of the music for this season is incredible.
Wow. So, who's in the studio today?
For the season 3 debut show,
Drum roll, please.
we have Jackie Bristow.
Yes, we do. Very, very exciting. Now, how do you know Jackie?
Well, I approached Jackie, I think, when I saw a YouTube clip, and she was performing with Jason Kerrison.
Jason, of course, yeah.
And I just sent her a little note on YouTube, and she replied. And
Awesome. And she's doing a big tour right now.
and now she's here because she doesn't normally live in New Zealand.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, she's here right now. Let's hear from Jackie.
Awesome.
Summer's gone, winter's coming on. I can feel a cold front blowing, and I don't see the fog lifting. Nothing is black or white, and there is gray in the light, and everybody's got their poison. Ooh, ooh. Hear the whistle blowing. Ooh, ooh. Goodbye, darling. I thought I saw you at the station. All around the leaves were falling. I don't know, but something's changing. I wish I could get off this train. Thought I heard you call my name. It was just the wheels were turning. Ooh, ooh. Hear the whistle blowing. Ooh, ooh. Goodbye, darling. Blow, blow, blow.
Thank you.
Oh my God, that was so cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I know that it's been a big mission to get here because you're in the middle of a tour right now. Or
I've just finished my tour in New Zealand. Yeah, I had a fantastic time. Played all over New Zealand and then finished the tour opening for Bonnie Raitt on the weekend.
Oh my goodness, that must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. We played in Wellington at the St James Theatre, and then we played the Civic Theatre Saturday night. It was a very beautiful theatre with the beautiful sky and the stars and great acoustics, and it was a bit of a treat.
Cool. Because you live in America, but you are a Kiwi. Is
Yes,
that right?
I'm a New Zealander from Gore. I'm originally from Gore, from the deep south, and I lived in Australia for a few years, and then I lived in LA. I live in LA now, but I lived in LA. I lived down in Austin, Texas, and then back in LA. Yeah.
Oh. And you've been enjoying fantastic success. I've been following. So Bonnie Raitt you supported Foreigner, that's a tour that's just gone. Mm-hmm. Steve Miller Band, is that
Steve
right?
Miller Band last year, and Foreigner in February, just before we came down here with my guitar player who was just playing with me then, Mark Punch. And then we're opening for Olivia Newton-John, which is quite exciting, in May, somewhere outside Chicago somewhere, Illinois, I think it is. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I have to ask you, because I know a lot of people want to know, how does a girl from Gore break through, do all this kind of fantastic touring stuff and, you know, with all these amazing names? How did you do it?
Well, I've been a bit of a lifelong journey. I started singing at 11, so I've been doing music my whole life. And I don't know, just a calling in life, and I just keep chugging along. Yeah, swimming upstream, but getting there.
If you had one tip for musicians, though, what might it be?
Oh, well, you know, just follow your heart, I think.
Oh,
Good tip. Do what you love.
that's
If it's working.
Well, it obviously is, and that was a fantastic treat for all of us.
Okay, thank you.
So much
Thanks
for
for having me on
joining
the
us.
show.
Our pleasure,
Yeah.
truly.
Being
My thanks to all my special guests, to Janine, to Derek, to Gary, to Jackie, and of course our very own Jessie Wilde. And until next week, don't wait to wake up your wow. Why at the end of the day you're so frazzled, and I've just remembered now.
Yeah.
That looks good.
It's like giving birth, you forget.
I'm happy.